Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I am here with another plan to pan video. As you can see from the title, we're gonna go through my base products and my cheek products today. We have pulled out all my base products to start with. So in here, in this container here, we have my foundations and concealers. And in here we have primers, setting powders, and setting sprays. So that's kind of like these two organizations here. On the side I also have my blushes, bronzers, highlighters, everything like that, but I'm going to start with these two right here first. So the point of today's video is to pick out things that I potentially want to pan next year. I probably won't put everything into my to pan next year when I do my final kind of products that I want to pan in 2025, but I think I'm going to pull out all the candidates and things that are on the potential list. So if there's anything specific you want to see from the products that I pull out, let me know in the comments. But other than that, I'm going to jump into the selection. But before I do so, if you're new here, please consider subscribing. I would love to have you in the family. Let's jump into the video. Alright, so we're going to start off with the foundations and concealers first because I have the least of them, I feel like. So what I'm going to do is I'm probably just going to go through this container and pull out things, one by one and decide what to pan. So we're going to start off with concealers, I think. And first up we have this Kosas concealer right here. This is definitely one that I think I want to pan next year just because it is, it's relatively new. I think I bought it in 2024, I think I bought it this year in 2024. But it's I feel like it's not my favorite concealer. It's a bit too low coverage for me, and I know these goes off quite quickly, so I think this is one that I want to pan in 2025. Then my newest concealer is my Natasha Denona one. I'm not going to want to pan this one. I'm just going to use it organically for now because I really like this one, and again it's my newest concealer. Then we have this one, which is my white concealer. I don't necessarily want to pan it. I use this one as like an eyeshadow primer for the most part. Do I want to pan it? It's actually getting up in age, so maybe I should. And I do use this one daily almost as a primer anyway, so yeah, maybe I could put that one in my maybe to pan pile. We do have this concealer right here, which is the Born This Way multi-use sculpting concealer, which is quite deep for me. I can use this one as like a mixer usually, or as like a bronzerish, but I never really use it that way, mainly as a mixer. Maybe I want to pan this one next year too, just because it is so deep. We'll see. Maybe. I'm going to put it in the maybe pile. Then we have my under eye corrector from Becca. This one I also think I'm going to put into my to pan pile because I have a backup of this one. So it's fine to put this one like to pan. So that one's going to go in there too. What else is my... I think that's it for concealers, right? Yeah, the rest are foundations. So let's talk through those next. We have my two MAC Face and Body foundations. We have one in C1 and in C3. C1 is the lighter color, C3 is the deeper color. I really love these two. I don't think I need to necessarily pan these. They're not that old in my collection. I use this one quite regularly anyway, so I'm not going to put these into my to pan pile. However, this one here is probably one that I want to pan. I do like this one quite a bit. It is a little bit deeper for me, but it's a nice shade for me in summer. This is the Bare Minerals Complexion Rescue in the shade Natural 05. So this was one that I potentially want to pan next year, so I'm going to put it in that pile. We have my Laura Mercier foundation. This is the Real Flawless foundation, and I have mine in the shade 1W1 Cashmere. This is relatively new as well. I bought this one this year, so I don't want to put them into pan pile yet. Then we have my Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless filter in the shade 3 Fair. This one is quite deep. It's more of a summer shade for me. I do really like this one, but I don't know if I want to pan it next year or not. I think I'm going to use this one quite regularly anyway. So I think I'm going to hold on to it for now and not put it into pan quite yet. Then lastly we have this one, which is my Monoskin Perfecting Tint SPF 15 Medium. This one is quite a light coverage product, but it's also quite deep. So it's also more of a summery product for me. So I think I probably want to focus on one of these two to focus on the pan. But I'm going to put both them in and we'll see what I go ahead to do. But for both those I'm going to put into my to pan pile. And then we have all of these samples, which I think is something that I probably want to get through next year, is because these are taking up space, and I feel like it would be nice to just get them out before they get too old. So I'm going to put both of these into my to pan pile as well. Oh, sorry, I'll release this one as well. So there we have it for my base products. Only these 5 is going to go into my potentially not to pan, but these are going to go. I don't have too many base products left anymore, so I think it's going to start being more like rotating through. Yeah, I feel like I want to find my favorite like formulas nowadays, and I do really like my MAC Face and Body and the Hollywood Flawless Filter. I've just been going for lower coverage, so these are two formulas that I really like. And then again, this one is relatively new, so it's not need to be panned yet, same with the concealer. So that is the first category. Let's move on to this container next, which is my, again, primers, powders, and setting sprays. So I guess we can start with primers. First up, we have this one, which is the Glow Recipe Watermelon Glow Niacinamide Dewdrop. Really like this one, but it's also relatively new, so I don't think I need to fully pan it. We also have my Milk Makeup Hydro Grip Primer, which is something that is also relatively new, but I use this one regularly anyway, so I'm not going to put it into my pan pile because it's something that I reach for all the time as it is. This is also one that is relatively new, and I use this one as well regularly, so I think it's going to be finished anyway, but maybe I should put it into my pan pile because it's SPF, so those goes off quite quickly. So I think maybe that can go in. We have my what is this one called? This is the Glowy Super Gel in Star Glow, which is a beautiful kind of illuminating primer. This is new as well. I got this one this year, I believe, so I don't think I need to pan this one yet either because it's relatively new. Then we have a couple like mini primers. I have the Milk Makeup Hydro Grip Primer in a mini, which is really, really good. It's relatively close to being finished, but I use this one when I travel, so this one can stay as well. We also have this one, which is a similar situation. It is the Glow Recipe Mini Primer as well, same as the other one. So I'm going to hold on to that one too as a travel size. However, this one here is also travel size, and I got this one this year. However, this is not a primer that I really love anymore, so I think I want to get this one out relatively fast. It is brand new, and I think I can finish it in a year for sure. So this one is going to go into my pan pile. Is there anything else in here that is primers apart from these small samples? I think that is it, right? Yes. So these are like more primer stuff. We have some more kind of sample products. This is actually BB cream, I noticed now. This one can also go into the foundations to pan. I'm going to try to get through all of my samples in the next year. Then we have the Huda Beauty Complexion Perfection Pre-Makeup Base, going to be panned. We have the Professional Matte Primer, also to be panned. And then we have the Kevin Kwan, the Celestial Skin Liquid Lighting in the shade Candlelight. This can also be panned. So those are all of the primers. I'm going to try to focus on these on this side here. Then for the rest of the products, we have powders and setting sprays. So for powders, my go-to for face is this one here. I love this one. I'm not going to put it into pan. This is the Huda Beauty Easy Bake Powder in the shade Pancake. I love this one as it is. I'm probably going to go through it next year anyway. So I don't want to put it into pan though. I think I'm going to, again, go through it either way. And so it's going to be an easy, I guess, product if I don't put it into like to pan. So I think it's going to be an easy product if I do put it into my to pan pile. Maybe I should. I'll put it in just for an easy give me product. We have the this is the Airset Radiant Loose Powder in Translucent. This one is quite a like illuminating powder. I haven't played around with too much, but it's also relatively new, so I'm not going to pan that one quite yet. We have my Charlotte Tilbury Airless, what's this one called? Airbrush Flawless Finish Powder in 1. This one is new as well, got this one this year, so I'm not going to pan this quite yet. I really like that powder quite a bit. We also have my Pat McGrath Labs Under Eye Setting Powder Light. This one is also new, I believe, from this year, so I don't want to pan this one quite yet either. I really like that one's Touch Up powder. Then we have these two here, which is probably something that I do want to finish next year. I do also have my Chanel powder, which I'm currently trying to pan this year, but I'm probably not going to get through, so keep in mind that that's going to go into next year too. We have the Kosas Comfy Cloud Set Powder, so the shade is Comfy, and this one looks like this. It is a little bit deeper, but yes, it's more like, again, of a summer shade. That's the problem with my powders. Some of them are quite deep. This is one that maybe I want to get through next year and see how I like it, and maybe purchase like a lighter color. And then we have the LYS Triple Fix Translucent Setting Powder in Brilliance, which is a banana shade. Also a little bit deep for me. It's lighter though, but it's more yellow toned. But I think both of these are going to go into my potential to pan, and I'll decide probably on one of them to finish next year. Then lastly, we have setting sprays. We have this one here, which is definitely going to go into my to pan pile. This is a Milk Hydro Grip so Set and Refresh Spray, which doesn't have too much left in it, so that one is going to go into my to pan. And then we have these two right here. We have my Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Setting Spray, which I really do like. I bought this one this year too, so I'm not going to necessarily try to pan it, but I might get through it next year anyway. And then we have this one, which is a Queen of Hungary Mist from Omarisa. This is more of a hydrating kind of spray. Again, this one is relatively new, so I'm not going to necessarily pan that one either. And then we have the second part. We do have a couple things on this side. Hopefully you can still see them. So this is what I'm going to potentially put into my pan, and this is what's not going to go into my pan quite yet. So next up we have this right here, which is again blushes, bronzers, highlighters, and like face palettes and stuff like that. So this is what I'm going to go through next. This is kind of like randomly like organized. I mean, some here is kind of like mainly highlighters. We have like mainly blushes, and then but mostly it's kind of mixed up. So I'm thinking we're just going to pull out things as they are. So first up we have blushes. We have a couple NARS blushes. We have this one, which is Taj Mahal, a really beautiful orange tone. I don't want to pan that one quite yet. We have this one, which is the shade Gina. Yes, which is another one that's really beautiful, but I don't want to pan this one yet. NARS blushes is quite hard to pan, so I don't know. I don't think I'm going to be ready to pan them quite yet. We have Luster as well, which is beautiful too, but I'm not ready to pan this one either. However, one that I am considering is this mini right here that I got. This is relatively new. It hasn't been in my collection for very long either, but since it is a mini, I am considering it, and it's also not like a favorite color that I want to hold on to. It is a cult classic though. It's the shade Orgasm, which is, you know, it's been around for forever, but I think I might want to pan this one just because how small it is. I think it's going to be an easy one to get through, well, relatively easy for a blush. So this one I think I'm going to put into my potential to pan pile. We have this Colourpop blush in the shade Desert Rose. This one is beautiful, and this is actually one that I might be able to pan, I think. This one is maybe also going to get into my potential to pan. Just keep in mind, again, I'm not going to pan all of the blushes that I'm talking about in my like potential to pan, but I think this one would be an easy one to reach for. How much is in here? 6 grams. That's a lot though. But I feel like it's an easy color, so maybe I'm ready to pan that one. We have my Melt blush. This is the Cream Blush Light in Cali Dreams, a really stunning color, and it's a cream blush, so maybe I should try to pan this one too. This one can also go into my potential to pan. Then we have these two sleek blushes. We have the shade Pixie Pink and Liza Peach, which is this one here. And then again, Pixie Pink is more of a pink color. Both of them are stunning, but again, I don't think I'm going to be ready to pan these ones quite yet. Then lastly, we have this one here. It's a really stunning but super vibrant blush. This one is the California blush from Benefit. It's a stunning blush, but it's super bright, and I don't think I want to pan this one next year. So again, not in that pile for now. Well, we're on to the Benefit blushes. We have these two. We have Rocket Tour and Gold Rush. Love both of these blushes. Let me show you what they look like. Rocket Tour looks like this, and then Gold Rush looks like this. Stunning blushes, but I don't want to pan them yet. And then we have these two, which are relatively old, but I love these two blushes. This is the Clinique Chic Pop blushes in Peach Pop, as well as Plum Pop. Maybe I would be ready to pan one of these though, even though I love them. Yeah, I might put these into like potential to pan because they are getting up there in age. Okay, so let's move on to the second section here and continue on with blushes. We have my Cover FX Duo blush, and this one is in the shade Pink Dahlia, I believe. Yes, this one is really, really stunning. Again, not quite ready to pan it yet. We have a bronzer here, which I'm going to jump over. Then we have my MAC Fairly Precious Extra Mention Skin Finish, which I love. I do really, really love this one. I'm not going to necessarily pan it just because I use this one regularly anyway, and it's stunning, so I don't want to kind of lose it out of my collection. We have my Nabla Skin Glazing blush in Independence. Super stunning blush again. Similar to some of the other ones, not ready to pan. We have my Pat McGrath blush in the shade Divine Rose. Super, super stunning. More of a mauve tone blush. Quite unique to my collection, so I'm not going to pan it yet. However, we have my Frat Boy blush from The Balm. This one is quite old, and even though this is a really, really big blush with 8.5 grams, I do think this is one that I'm considering to pan next year just because I've had it in my collection for so long. It's a beautiful shade as well that I think I can reach for quite like often as like an everyday type of color, but it's also not like something that I feel like is extremely unique to my collection. Another kind of blush and highlighter duo, so not quite there yet. But then we have this blush right here, which is from Becca. This is the shade Wild Honey. Another stunning shade. It looks like this. It's more of a neutral tone. Really, really beautiful blush. The packaging is getting like that really sticky residue on it, which is annoying. But I do love this blush, so I'm not sure if I want to pan it next year yet. but maybe it's time because of the packaging and also because of the age of this, plus it's also discontinued. I'm gonna put it into the maybe to pan pile. We have two Charlotte Tilbury Glow Gasms. We have the shade Peach Gasm and Pink Gasm. Really love both of these. I don't think I want to pan either of them quite yet, even though this one is getting quite low. So maybe I could pan the Peach Gasm actually. Maybe I can do that and we can purchase it if I want. I think maybe I will. We'll see. I might put that into the to pan bar for like an easy win. We'll see. But this one is new. I got this one this past year, so I don't want to pan this one yet. Another blush that is relatively new is this Huda Beauty Coral Cutie Cheek Tint. This one I also got this year as like a free gift to purchase on an advent calendar or something like that. It's a really nice vibrant color, but I don't want to pan it yet because it is so new. We have this NARS, but this is a highlighter, so I'm not going to talk about it yet. Then we have this Natasha Denona blush in Bloom, super pretty color. Again, don't want to pan yet because it's also relatively new. Same with this one. This is from Glowish by Huda Beauty. This is the Cheeky blush in Healthy Peach, which is another beautiful blush, but it's also relatively new, so I'm not gonna try to pan it quite yet. I do think this one should be quite easy to get through though. It only has 2.5 grams, but again, it is so new that I don't want to do it yet. I think I might focus on this one in 2026. So not too many blushes left. We have these two highlighter palettes. We have this one, which is another blush. This is the LYS Satin Matte Cream Blush in Higher Standards. Super stunning. How much is in here? 8.5 grams, so it's a big blush. This is one that I probably should try to get through because it's the cream blush, but I don't think I want to pan it fully next year. Maybe I'll try to put it into a product panel, we'll see, but I don't think I want to get through the whole thing next year. And then I think the last blush we have is this one right here, which is the Bobbi Brown Shimmer Bricks. This one is in the shade Nectar. This is a really big blush with 10.3 grams. However, it is something that is quite old in my collection, so maybe this is also something that I should pan. But I think if I do that, this might be something that is like the only thing I can pan all year. So it is, you know, it's going to be quite a feat, but it's tempting because again of the age of this product. So I'm going to put it into the maybe pile. And again, I think that is the last 4 blushes. So I guess we can move on to bronzers next. So first off for bronzers, we have this one here, which is the Urban Decay Beach Bronzer in the shade Sunkissed. I absolutely love this bronzer. It's more of a red tone bronzer, and I don't want to pan it yet. I love having this one in my collection, so this one is not going to be panned quite yet. We have this duo right here, which is the Bronze and Glow Bronze and Highlighting Powder from Natasha Denona. This one I also got relatively recently, but maybe it's one... Do I want to pan this one? It's like a little duo. It would be quite easy, I think, to get through, but it's also new, and maybe this one would be really good for traveling and stuff like that. But I might put this one in my to pan pile anyway, just because with these small powders, they're quite an easy product to get through. I don't know how much is in each powder in here. Does it say? Yeah, it has 4 grams altogether, so not much product at all. And with these, it's quite interesting to see how much it takes from actual brand new to finished. So it might be fun to pan. Let me see if you want to see this one. Again, I probably wouldn't pan it because of age, more like... I guess like just to get it out and have an easy win. Then we have a couple more bronzers here. We have this one from LYS. This is the No Limits Matte Bronzer in Motivate, which is a really stunning, more neutral tone bronzer. This is one that I might consider panning. It's a really stunning shade, and I think this one would work for me most of the year. So this one might be an interesting one to pan. It does have 6.5 grams, so an okay amount, I think, for bronzer. So I'm going to put this one into my maybe to pan pile. Then we have highlighter, bronzer though. This one is my Milk Makeup bronzer. What's it called? The Milk Makeup, what's it called? Matte bronzer stick in the shade Baked. So this one is a really stunning product, but it has so much product in it. I'm probably just gonna keep using it until I feel like it's gone off too much. As you can see, this one has the old packaging, so it is old, and I'm just gonna get as much use out of it next year as I can and probably declutter it after that. But I don't want to put it into that like to pan pile, just because with those products I want to try to finish fully. So I think that is it for bronzers. We do also have this contour powder though, which is from Kevyn Aucoin. This is one that I might try to pan next year because, or do I? I don't have any other contour powders, but I've never used them. So that's kind of why I want to pan this one. It's also very old. I got this one in 2016. Yeah, I might put this one in maybe my pan pile. So I think that is it. Oh, I also realized I have this bronzer right here. This one is new from this year. This is my Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Bronzer in the shade medium. I also have this one in light, which is in like a magnetic pan. I'm not going to pan either of those. This one is relatively new and the other one is 2. So yeah, those ones are not going to be panned yet. And I do believe that is it for bronzers. So let's move on to highlighters lastly. So here we have the highlighters. Like I said, I'm going to briefly skip over all of my face palettes. So these are not technically used highlighters, but I did do a separate video on which face palette you want to see next year, so you can check that video out to help decide for those. So I'm going to skip over these for now. But then here we have some highlighters. We have my NARS highlighter in the shade Free Soul. Beautiful, beautiful light pink color. I don't think I want to pan this one. It's too kind of pink and too niche to use every single day. So not pan yet. We have my 2 Becca highlighters. We have the shade Champagne Pop, which is a cult classic. I really love this one. I don't want to pan it because I do love it so much. And then we have Moonstone, which is a really, really beautiful shade too. But this one is not too old. I got this one just when Becca was out of business. So it's not like new or anything, but I think I want to focus on other things instead. We have this highlighter stick from Rowan. This is the Row Glow in the shade Glazed, which is a highlighting stick. It's super stunning. It's like a whitish color. Maybe this is one that I should pan. It's not too old, but it is a cream highlighter, and I feel like this one would go relatively quickly. Let me show you a swatch. Kind of a goldeny like shade. It's really, really stunning actually. So maybe this one, we'll see. I'm not quite sure yet, but I'm going to put this one in the maybe pile. And then we have this shade here, which is my Laura Mercier Highlight 01. This one is a super stunning shade. I've had this one for a long, long time, but I don't think I want to pan it. It's just beautiful to have around, so I'm not going to focus on this one. So in here we have mostly highlighters too. We have some other products which I'm going to cover, but we have this one first, which is my Rare Beauty highlighter in the shade Accelerate. Really, really love this one. This is one of my favorite highlighters in my whole collection, but it's also relatively new, so I'm not going to pan it yet. We also have my Cleona highlighter in the shade Tropico, which is one of their fruit lighters. Really, really stunning shade. It's more of a, like it's a multichrome kind of highlighter. Super stunning, super unique, but I don't want to pan it yet. We have these 2, which are not highlighters. These are just the brow freeze from Anastasia, so I'm going to skip over those. And then we also, before we get into the last bits, we have my Becca Under Eye Brightening Corrector in the shade Light Medium. Again, this is the backup I talked about before, so I'm not going to pan this one either because I'm focusing on the other one. We have my Space Age highlighters next from Kaleidos, so let's talk through those. We have this shade first, which is shade Mars Melter. Super, super beautiful, like pinkish duochrome highlighter. Super stunning, but I'm not going to pan this one yet. We have this one, which is the shade Ray Rider. This is the one that I'm thinking about panning. I had this one on my list this year, but I haven't gotten into it, so I think this one is going to go into my pan pile next year too. We have the shade Solar Sailor, which is a yellow toned highlighter. Super stunning, but similar to Mars Melter, not going to pan it yet. We have the shade Moon Cruiser, which is more of a blue shade. Again, I'm not going to pan this one. I want to hold on to these duochrome highlighters, so I'm not going to pan that one. And then lastly, we have my 2 multichrome ones. This is the shade Gifted, which is more of a pink kind of shade. I did hit pan on this one. It's like a pink to green highlighter, super stunning, but I'm not going to pan it yet. And then we have this one, which is the shade Space Age Prophecy. This is probably my favorite. This one is like a peach to green kind of shift, super stunning too, but I'm not going to pan this one either. And that is it for highlighters. Actually not too much. I just put in 2 to my 2 pound pile, which were these 2 right here. You know what, I don't know what I'll do. I think that's not too much. This year I finished so many highlighters. Maybe I should look into putting something else in. The one I'm leaning towards is my Becca highlighter in Moonstone. Maybe I'll put this one in anyway to my maybe 2 pound pile. It's not too old, like I said, but it's just like a basic highlighter. So maybe I put this one in there as well, just to have another option. And that is going to be it for this section. And also with that, that is going to be it for this video. I'm not going through all of my base products and my cheek products, and they're all over the counter. I have them organized by like not to pan and maybe to pan. So I'm going to make a list of what is going to go in my maybe to pan next year pile. And again, if there's anything from this video you want to see next year, let me know in the comment section. Otherwise, I'm just going to go through and like narrow the list down. And of course, I'm going to post a video at the end of the year with all the products that are like the final list of what I want to pan next year. But I hope you guys are having an amazing day wherever you are, and I will catch you in my next one. Bye guys!